All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Wednesday update. What is today? Today's the 3rd. Spent most of the morning recording a podcast, but back to the market. Was up early, kind of scanning how things were going. We're going to look at Bitcoin to start things off. Bitcoin now reaching that 11.2 to 11.4K, which yesterday, if you tune into the daily updates, we're expecting resistance at, right? We're going to do kind of a recap of the week so far. Sunday, Monday, 9.8K, 10K was the support that I thought all along made sense for, even if you're an investor or a swing trader, that's the support to focus on. It's kind of the bottom of the range, right? That makes sense as a good buy opportunity with a stop below that 9,800. Now that we've moved up a full $1,000, maybe even a little bit more, $1,400 to 11.2, 11.4K. We're going to look at the chart in a second. That area acting as resistance. The trigger for me in thinking that Bitcoin is going to have more upside would be a 4-hour daily close above that level. We just got a 4-hour, and now price is kind of going back and forth. I think it's down 1% from that 11.4K. So we're at a pretty critical point, I think, for Bitcoin, not only for the rest of the week, but also I think it would determine trend for probably, maybe the next 7 days, maybe the next 2 weeks, right? So big focus on Bitcoin, as kind of has been the theme really ever since April 1st, but especially in June, right? When Bitcoin starts moving well, it steals the show. And it's not really a preference thing. It's more so that when Bitcoin does trend higher and moves at such a pace, it completely kind of halts and stops those altcoin opportunities, right? Which were looking very promising Sunday, Monday. That tide kind of turned yesterday, and I talked about why in the stream. For me, at least, it doesn't make sense to sit in Loom or EOS after they have that retracement. We'll look at, there's still a case for if Bitcoin tops out here at 11.4, 11.2K, starts to round again and trend back down towards 10K, that once again opens up the door for a lot of vaults. So that's also kind of a critical relationship that we're going to be watching for the rest of the week. I think today is going to determine, kind of how those moves pan out, right, for the rest of the week and what impact that would have for the next 2 weeks or maybe even for the rest of July, right? That's going to be the focus. Only admin stuff is, I guess I don't have any, which is awesome because almost everyone's onboarded over from the old Discord. Welcome if you're from the Discord. You're probably familiar with the format. Maybe not used to the little minute intro video of me on camera, but I think it's a nice way to kind of set the stage for what we're going to talk about in the stream. Trying to move as quickly as I can so we don't waste any time. Other than that, I know there's also a ton of new people as well, a lot of who have given really nice feedback about how it's a nice little way to catch up on the market 5 and 10 minutes after work. So appreciate all you guys. Grateful that you're enjoying it, that you find value in it. And once again, with the emails, with the videos, I'm going to continue to kind of experiment, find new formats, different ways to share charts, videos in the stream. Maybe even I'll break the stream into like a 5-minute Bitcoin segment one day and kind of 5-minute altcoin. I don't know. I'm going to try a ton of different things. The key thing every single day with the stream, which I'm going to do right now as well, is I want to break down objectively what I think is happening with the trend. That's always going to be the most important, right? Is Bitcoin trending up? Is Bitcoin trending lower? Or is Bitcoin in the range? Literally, some of this stuff is so simple. It's like, God, that's easy. I can tell you that. But going over it and kind of looking at different triggers and stuff like that, I think has a massive impact, especially like consciously thinking about it. The other thing that we're going to focus on every single day is the macro alt landscape, right? So are all alts doing well? Are all alts doing poorly? It doesn't make sense to even be playing the alt game. And then past that, obviously, I'm going to cover any Bitcoin or altcoin setups that I have this week. The 2 Bitcoin plays working out quite nice, right? Loom also hitting target, but I think the alt plays are kind of done for now, unless Bitcoin breaks down. So we'll talk about that. Let's jump into the chart. Don't want to waste any more time. Hopefully everyone's having a good Wednesday. And yeah, that's all I got. Happy 4th of July if you're celebrating. Have a good day tomorrow. Be safe. All right, let's jump into the chart. Let's get to the good stuff. So Bitcoin, quick recap before I look at this little mini pump, I guess, that's happening as we go into 2 p.m. Bitcoin from Sunday, Monday, right? We have a breakdown of 11.4. Why is 11.4 still a major focus? Why is Bitcoin kind of stopping here? Why is it so congested? This was the resistance all at the end of June, 11.2 to 11.4. Some people have asked, why is it, not just one level? Why is it a zone? Why are some levels just one price level? Tons of different schools of thought with that. I generally kind of like to mark one swing high or one swing low that will either act as support or resistance. Sometimes, though, I do treat them as a zone, and that's because you can see kind of this first swing high right at 11.2, the second swing high was slightly higher, and then you have kind of this last swing high, 11.4. Once we could break out of 11.4, that's when price could obviously make it to its 2019 highs. So once again, this pivot has been the most important resistance, and the last time I'm probably going to go over this because we hit it so many times, I don't want to be repetitive, but the areas that price has congregated at and consolidated at and used as high time frame resistances and supports on the way up, right, all stem back from these 2018 local tops. Right, the first area since Bitcoin went on this massive run that Bitcoin actually kind of paused, had some trouble at, had a 20% retracement, and then continued higher, right, 8,400. Next level up, 9,800. That's how we got the dip from Tuesday. And then also 11,400. 11,400, right? 11.4K. Why am I struggling to say that? Anyways, so 11.2, now kind of rewinding just to yesterday, right? What were we looking at in the stream? Once we broke down from 11.4, just getting everyone up to speed if you haven't been checking out the market, and then we'll get to today. Once we broke down from this 11.4, which was previously resistance, right? Resistance, it acted as support once. So we break down from that level, right? Call it a pivot, call it a support resistance flip, whatever your terminology is. Right? When we break down from that level to start the week, I just want to say, I just want to kind of identify maybe a couple levels that make sense for dip buying or where I would want to start to see a reaction from buyers for me to get excited. Right? Those two levels that I picked out were 9,800. You guys know where 9,800 came from, right? Way back here. And then also 10.2. And if you zoom out now and look at the daily, it's pretty incredible how well that worked out. Right, catching kind of almost the exact bottom of that wick. Already got a couple people that said that's one of the best Bitcoin dip plays they've had all year. So that's lovely. Love to hear that. Right, Bitcoin moving up yesterday. We were looking at Bitcoin in kind of this range. Right, we had bounced from our support. 9,800, 10K, anywhere in here made sense is a really good dip buy. Right, as long as 4-hour and dailies are closing above that level. Also, a quick refresher, I like to use high time frame 4-hour and daily candles to kind of define whether or not a level is holding or breaking. Right, so if you look at how price acted right at 9,800, you have both those close happening, both the candle close and kind of both these candles kind of respecting that level. I don't mind if wicks go through as long as the level is respected. Right, exact same thing as resistance is respected here, and so far it's looking like we have a bit of a breakout. Right. So right now I'm kind of viewing Bitcoin as playing in a range. Right. So yesterday we were looking at Bitcoin right here. This is 10.4. Now we're sitting at the top of the range. Right. So if this was our buy the dip area, anywhere 10.2 to 9,800, it's gone up a nice $1,400 or 10%. This to me, even as I'm watching it live right now, makes sense as kind of a fade spot. And someone said, what's a fade? A take profit area. Maybe you're hedging, whatever that means for you. It's going to be different for everyone's strategy, right? We were looking at Bitcoin yesterday kind of in the middle of the range. Whenever we're in the middle of here, I think about a range, right? This is our resistance to the range. This is our support for the range, right? Below here, I'd expect obviously lower. If we can confirm above here, expect higher. Right? I'm going to look at price closing above here in one moment. So yesterday with Bitcoin in the middle of the range, I'm about as close to as neutral as I can be. I just kind of wanted to sit on my hands. I was already long. And really the only plan was if we can get up to 11.2K, 11.4K to book some profit because, right, it's the expectation. It's the expectation that as we travel up here, and I'm expecting some resistance at 11.2, 11.4, we got it, right? This is kind of the first time in this whole run up that price is now kind of hanging out for a little while. Now, as we're at this resistance, now kind of the plan for today and going into Thursday, going into Friday, and going into the weekends that have been crazy for Bitcoin and crypto as a whole, right? The plan is this. It's nearly the same as 9,800, except flipped. Right? It's kind of the exact same as the plan back also at the end of June. Right? So this is resistance, this is high time frame resistance. But a close above, which we just had in the past 4 hours, to me is a sign, it's a hint, however you want to think about it, that price actually can move higher, right? I just realized it wasn't on here. So it's a little bit of a sign, kind of a hint, that demand is actually able to push above this level, not just wick through and close back below, but obviously we haven't had follow through yet. We've had a little bit of a 1% dip, right? I'm kind of just calling that noise for now. But a daily close, especially above this level, to me would indicate strength the exact same way when we had a close above it last time, they were actually able to continue through that level. And it's not just this one example, right? That's kind of something I've used on this entire run up of when there's kind of this previous resistance, turn support, back to high time frame resistance. When I get this close above that level, it's kind of the check mark, right? That price can run higher. Now, it's not one of the things where, okay, I get a close above, free money, I'm just going to smash long and it's a guaranteed win or anything like that, right? It still means that, if we move back below that level, I would get stopped out. Right? And that's really still how I'm approaching price right now with this little 1% dip. It's not the best thing to see right away, but I'm going to kind of wait and see what happens here with the 4-hour close. It would be incredible if somehow this 4-hour candle, by the time it closes in the next hour, can end up, above here. That to me would be a really nice kind of check mark, hinting more bullishness, and that the trend is ready to continue higher. For now, I either like being flat as we're kind of right at resistance. Even if you're long, I think that's fine. I think it's good to be kind of thinking about what happens if price can't get back above here. If this is a little bit of a fake out, right? I'd happily kind of take that 1%, 2% stop out, because if we can have a daily close above here, or if price does start to get closing, back below 11.2, then I would once again expect that this is acted as resistance and price is just going to range around here, right? So the whole goal with Bitcoin, as it's been since April 1st, I want to be a part of the trend for as much of the trend as I can. And if support is broken or resistance is being respected, then I either sit flat, wait to buy the dip, whatever it is. Just kind of simplifying the game of being exposed to the trend when kind of the cards or the chips or the odds are stacked that we're ready to move higher. And when we're at a resistance and resistance is being respected, probably makes sense to take some off. So the Bitcoin stance, it's a bit of a tricky area right now. I would love to stay on the stream with you for an hour and watch what happens at 3 p.m. But the biggest tell for me will be, right, as long as I would now like to see that we've kind of had the first little condition, I would like to see price start closing at least above 11.2, this candle right here. If we have a daily close above here, I think that's kind of the check mark that we are ready to move higher. This might be a little bit of a fake out. And if it is, okay, I'll take my little 2%, get back to flat on Bitcoin and kind of wait see if we dip again, see what happens. So to kind of recap the week and kind of the plan for today, right? The dip from 11.2, waiting until 98, 10.2 kind of worked out perfectly. Right now, it looks like we caught almost the exact bottom. Even if you scaled in at 10.2, that looks beautiful. Turned out to be a nice little 10% swing. I think profit taking makes some sense at 11.2, 11.4. Not because I want to sell before things rip, but more so because we're at resistance. And I just want to continue to follow the rules. If we do close above this resistance, right, or have the daily close above this resistance, then I think we can move higher. So I'm not selling because, this is the top and this is the end of the bull run. But I do think it makes sense to be at least thinking about this as resistance, even if you are long. Right? Daily close above here, once again, still think that we'd be ready to move higher. It'd be a very good indication that the trend can continue. If we start to have 4-hour and especially daily closes back below this 11.2K area, right, I start to get concerned that we're ready to trend lower. I'd probably want to get back to flat on Bitcoin. Right? Obviously, that's not advice, just kind of my general market view there for trend on Bitcoin. Right now, it's a ranging market. 9,800 is the bottom. This is the resistance. A close above this resistance, 11.4, means we probably go higher. If this is kind of, looking at the daily, and getting my nasty squiggles out of here. Okay. Looking at the daily candle would make it very clear. Okay. If we have this nasty little wick through 11,400 and we start closing back below here, right, it starts to look like this is kind of more likely. Just ranging in between kind of our dip area and this 11.2. Right, so I'm viewing this as resistance. Above it, I think Bitcoin looks incredible. If we're below it, I'm probably sitting back on my hands and waiting for the next play. Right, bit of a dicey area, I would say, for Bitcoin. But until now, waiting for that dip, catching a swing, hell of a week for Bitcoin trading. What this has done now, if you think back to alts, for all the alt traders that are saying, when's he going to focus on alts? When's the next alt swing? Think about Sunday, Monday for alts, right? Bitcoin was catching its first 30% retracement from 2019 highs. What this opened up the doors for across the board was for alts to have pretty nice bounces. Bounces in the range of 20 to 30%. I liked the Loom play, right, which has now almost fully retraced. Talked about the Loom play for the last few days. Right? What was our trigger? Close above resistance, aim for that first level. Caught a nice 15%. It's back below. EOS was something we looked at, and I talked about why probably don't want to be in EOS anymore. It's back down to pretty much its cycle low or its lowest point. And this is really the story for almost every single alt. Now, I know you're probably looking at this and saying, there's Link or there's one other coin that's doing very well. Sure, there are outliers, but for the vast majority of alts, once again, they're pretty much at their lows. Right, so if they had a pop Sunday, Monday, or if they had a pop for 48 hours, they've completely retraced it. And for me, while I do think that there is a possibility that alts can do well, right, in the short term, what would need to happen here for those alts to do well is I think that this would have to Bitcoin would have to put in another lower high right here. Right? This would have to Bitcoin would have to respect this resistance. And if Bitcoin is respecting this resistance and trickles down lower again or just ranges around here, all of a sudden the door does open up for alts again, right? Just like on Sunday and Monday, what was Bitcoin doing? What was the environment and what was the situation condition that let those alts do well? It was Bitcoin trickling down 10%, right? And not gaining 5 or 10% every single day, outpacing those alts. So if you are looking for alt opportunity and wondering, how would I know that alts are about to do well, right? If you're trying to anticipate it or just understand what could cause them to do well, right? It would be Bitcoin stopping at resistance here and starting to drift back down to 10K or have to kind of hang out in this range, right? Bitcoin above 11.4K, I think, is bad news for alts. Not long term. It does not mean that alts are dead. It does mean that in the short term, I think they continue to trend lower. Some people don't want to hear that. I just think that's what's true. Right? We looked at alts yesterday and kind of my general view on EOS and Loom. I talked about why I don't like exposure to them, why I'm not playing any new alt trades even today. If this is the bottom, kind of the way that I think about it, I think ADA will illustrate it very clearly. Right? The bottom for a lot of alts happened on Sunday, Monday, and then they led to, I know this is just an ADA chart, but it's representative of a ton of other alts, right? So let's say this is Sunday, Monday, 28th, right? So last week, Saturday, Sunday, that's the bottom. Bitcoin kind of tops out and drifts lower, so ADA and everything else can bounce, have a nice little 15% rise up. The moment in the 24-hour period that Bitcoin starts doing well, all alts kind of fall back to exactly where they started, right? Even if this is the bottom for alts, right? Let's say Bitcoin is kind of topped out for now and is stuck here and can't move higher, right? Which sets the stage for alts to do well. Let's say that happens. I don't think that's happening, but let's say that happens. If this is the bottom for alts and ADA and EOS and every other coin's ready to move up, I personally would still kind of want to wait for. Think back to Sunday, I guess I'll just give a very practical example. Alts had already been doing well for. Right, Loom had bottomed. So alts had been doing well for nearly 24 hours. I would say 26 hours, right? And then we have the stream Sunday night and, Bitcoin's moving down. So I have kind of the first box checked, right? Bitcoin's not outpacing. It's not moving so quick that all alts are getting crushed. So Bitcoin's moving down. Okay, check mark. That sets up a possibility that alts can do well. Add in the fact that a lot of other alts that looked very similar to Loom started doing well too, right? You have Mana, which we'll look at in a second. You have Mana, which already was kind of moving up 10% off of its double bottom, right? 20% total. Okay, so I'm 24 hours late. I have confirmation that Bitcoin has settled down, and I have confirmation that 90% of other alts are doing well. Okay, I jump into Loom, and I catch a nice 15-20% play, right? Very rarely do I want to be kind of the bottom. I mean, obviously you want to buy the bottom, but in a downtrend for alts that's lasted this long, I'm sure if you try to catch the bottom, you've probably tried it 10 times, and each of those times, lost 2, 3, 4, 5, 10%. So even if this is kind of the bottom for alts, I'm not going to look at any new alt setups today. I'm not buying an alt today. Let's say tomorrow rolls around and this does turn out to be the top for Bitcoin and Bitcoin trends down, then sure. I think tomorrow would be a killer day to look at some alts, to look at alts that are rebounding strong, to see if 90% of alts are doing well, and then I can kind of attack and say, okay, what are the best setups on Binance? Does ETH or does ADA or EOS look good? Is there a major play there? And things like that. But for right now, it's really just the same mentality that I have during any alt bear market or any time that Bitcoin is trending this well. I don't know what the rush is. I don't know what the hurry is. If alts do turn around and they are bottoming, right? If ADA and EOS and Mana and Loom and everything's bottoming, whatever alt you like to trade is bottoming, then the same way the larger trend is what you're after for Bitcoin, right? When alts turn around and they find a bottom, generally they tend to trend up for a week or 2 weeks or a month, right? So I want to catch, once alts start trending up for 2 days, I have no problem being a day or two late, right? Because then I'm jumping into alts, or I'm looking at alt trades when all of them are moving up. I'm not trying to catch bottoms, so I'm riding that positive momentum. My hit rate's going to go up substantially, right? My chance of getting stuck in an alt as they all crush to Bitcoin goes down substantially. What I'm trying to get at, I think, is you do benefit a little bit, let's say, if I catch the absolute bottom for ADA. So let's say Bitcoin tops out again. Alts have retraced that positive move they made. We can look at EOS as well. Alts have retraced that positive move they made, right? If this is the bottom for EOS moved up for a couple days, Sunday, Monday, Saturday, had a nice 15% gain. Now it's completely retraced it. This could be the bottom again. Right? Even if it is, what's my upside benefit of jumping in now and anticipating this is the bottom? If it's the bottom, I mean, sure, you could make that play. I don't want to dissuade anyone from timing that. For people that are very active traders, sometimes it does make sense to be anticipating and to be early. But for the vast majority of people that are just kind of looking for the daily, weekly updates and thinking about how well alts are going to do and don't have time to be in and out and day trading, right? The upside, if you time the exact bottom, you're in the first 24 hours of the bounce, sure, maybe you can squeak out, if you caught the absolute bottom, right? You can squeak out, I don't know, maybe another 6, 10, 15, 10% max. But the downside risk that you expose yourself to by trying to catch the bottom every single day, right, is substantial. And I really think that for most people, and even for myself, I've realized that the bonus or the increased upside that I would have from trying to time the bottom on alts every single time someone thinks it's going to be alt season, right, is maybe, 10 or 15% for the first couple pops. 24 hours later, those pops would still be happening. I would have way more confidence, way more conviction, way less chance of being wrong, things like that. So for me, as I look at the market today, Bitcoin still excites me. I think it's in a pretty precarious spot. Above 11.4, I think we definitely see more upside. If we start having 4-hour and daily closes below this zone, right, this is kind of a pivotal zone for the rest of the day, right? Above 11.4, I think we see that upside. If we have a daily close below, right, we're probably ready to range again. Above here for Bitcoin means that alts are probably going to struggle for the rest of the week, at least. Right? Below here for Bitcoin, a ranging Bitcoin would be great for alts. And tomorrow would probably mean that we're looking at 2 to 3 to 4 alt setups. We'd be ready to swing Loom again for 15%, or I'd be ready to look at ADA and EOS for another 15%. But right now, I look for confirmation with alts, and I don't have it. I'd rather see them drift lower. I think that'd be awesome. I think a lot of people would kind of panic sell their alts again. They drop another 10, 15%. Maybe next time Bitcoin tops out, and that would kind of set up the perfect opportunity. For right now, I think the bigger opportunity is Bitcoin back above 11.4. I would love to see that trend higher again. I would love to jump back on. Below 11.2, this scenario, right, opens up the door for alts. So that's what I'd be watching if you're a trader. If you're just tracking Bitcoin and that's all you're interested in, I think that's helpful as well. Once again, not really a new trade idea to focus on or a specific setup to focus on today. I'm not always going to have a trade every single day. The one trade that I am in, right, I'm long Bitcoin. Original trade for the week, our 10% swing. Once again, we had our 4-hour close, so I'm long. I would love to see a daily close. If it is, I'll add on and look to run it higher. Right? Any kind of 4-hour closes below 11.2 or daily close below 11.2, I cut for a little 2% loss. Right? So, been a very positive week for Bitcoin trading. For alts, it seems like everyone kind of got a bit of a tease. Right? And whether that's frustrating, whether you think alts are ready to rebound, or whatever it is, I just urge you to try to separate what you would want to see happen versus what is objectively happening. Right? I try to do that every single day. I think the streams kind of help me keep that clear in for myself. So Bitcoin's exciting, guys. Above 11.4, I think it's very exciting. For alts, I'm holding off. That is not advice that you need to hold off, but if you are sitting on the sidelines and saying, man, am I going to miss the bottom on alts? Should I be buying them? I think it makes a ton of sense to consider what increased upside do I really have of trying to time the bottom of every single alt versus kind of waiting for that confirmation. So a little bit of the same as the update yesterday. I like Bitcoin in this range. Above 11.4, it's awesome. Below 11.2, the door opens up for alts, and tomorrow we'll be talking about 3 or 4 alt trades. All right, that's all I got, guys. If I talk anymore, I'll just get repetitive and ramble a little bit. So that's it. Have a good rest of your Wednesday. Obviously, the summary is down below if you're watching this in your email browser. And yeah, welcome to the group for all the new members, all the current members. Hope you guys are enjoying it as well. I'm going to have a new channel in the Discord that's going to be suggestions and or questions. If you want any topic or coin or something like that covered in the stream, I won't be able to do it every single day, but I think it's kind of a fun way to get questions in here again. And yeah, guys, that's all I have. Have a great rest of the day, good rest of the week. If you're off for the 4th tomorrow, enjoy it, be safe, and I will see you guys in an email update tomorrow, keeping you current, everything happening in the market. All right, peace, guys.